When I buy from Enterprise A, I don't buy from Enterprise A because I'm buying from a black man, from a woman, or what. I buy because they provide good services.
We have more than 52% of our population are women. So what do you say if you have this percentage? I think in East Africa now we have around 60% are women. So you cannot ignore this part of the community. If we are accountable for what we are promising in our policies and laws and programs, and I think women are there to take it up. Women are there. If you have been working with women, you know that if women are saying that we're going to do it, they do it. So let us all support these women. I'm happy that we have men in this room, because in Rwanda and other countries now we believe that working with men is the best strategy to achieve what we want. So we are there, and we know that men are going to be also supportive to make sure that we achieve our goal. So thank you so much for this session.
What I propose we do is I would briefly walk you through what happened this afternoon, but then more importantly we open the floor to you. You've got great people in this panel that I'm sure you are dying to question, not on what we want to tell you, but more importantly on what you want us to tell you. I'm extremely happy to be here in Rwanda for the first time ever ITC flagship event. It's the World Export Development Forum, taking place, as I said, for the first time in Africa. This time also we are innovating in that we are putting together the World Export Development Forum with the Women Vendors Platform. It's a platform that the ITC has aimed at connecting women-owned small and medium enterprises to regional and international markets. So we started this WEDEF with the Women Vendors Platform part, but the theme of this conference is about how can we unlock the potential of small and medium enterprises to create jobs and through that to generate growth. Of course, women entrepreneurs represent at least half of the entrepreneurs in any African country. And of course we know that women entrepreneurs reinvest around 90% of their revenues, 90%, into their families and their communities, compared to 40% in the case of men. So it's only fair that we start this with the Women Vendors Platform. So what we are doing here in Kigali is talking business and doing business. We are talking business is a lot of what we did this afternoon. Is we looked at the challenges that women entrepreneurs have to join international and regional markets. We have explored difficulties in market intelligence, in capacity building to improve the competitiveness of women-owned SMEs, in access to finance, and in connecting women to markets. These are the four themes that we have been exploring this afternoon. We've also reached the very clear conclusion that for these four things to be addressed properly, we have to have governments, private sector, trade support institutions, and international organizations working together in a partnership. Now, in this context, we have found one area, one initiative that we think is promising in helping small and medium enterprises connect to markets, which is using the potential of government procurement, the market that the governments all around the world have, to connect more women SMEs to these markets. In other words, to make sure that women-owned small and medium enterprises that today access only around 1% of global public procurement markets, worth around 15 trillion a year, 15 trillion a year, making sure that more and more of these women can access these government procurement markets. So we had very clearly, we concluded very clearly that this is not about charity. We are not suggesting to give women entrepreneurs some sort of charitable measure. We have agreed that this is about making sure that we use government procurement to put more women into the economy, do something that makes a lot of economic sense. So this is what we wanted to tell you tonight. Of course, there are plenty of activities that you are invited to attend over the next 2 days, starting with the opening plenary tomorrow, where we will be graced with the presence of the Honorable President of Rwanda, President Kagame, but also following with lots of nitty-gritty discussions about how to unlock the competitiveness of SMEs.
My name is David from Africa, and talking about this procurement, I'm not sure if it's covered in the guide that was today, but from 1%, at what level are you looking to increase it up to?
Okay, we know that women doing business in Africa face a whole lot of challenges. So what were the major challenges that the women presented across Africa? My name is Hawa. I work for Voice of Nigeria.
Thank you. My name is Alex from the East African newspaper. Talking about procurement, it was realized that the payment period to these entrepreneurs takes a lot of time to be implemented. So how does this affect them, and what's the way forward?
Thank you so much. I wanted to start with what my sister asked about what women entrepreneurs have been sharing with us today, especially on challenges, because and I think this was one of the important component of today's discussion, because we know many countries, including Rwanda, who have put in place policy and legal frameworks for gender equality, for women empowerment, which is fantastic, even in other countries. We know that we have programs and projects in place. We can talk about affirmative action in place to make sure that we have women in decision-making position. We can talk about what kind of programs have been put in place in order to empower these women. But women were telling us that, yes, this is good, but it is not enough. We still have challenges which we need you as government and your partners like ITC and other bodies around to help unblock these issues which women are facing. They have been talking about the issue of information, because without information, especially when they are talking about procurement, they say that you might be having good products, might be having good business, but if you are not well informed, if you are not informed on time, because you might be informed, but at the end of the day, when you go for the bidding, then you find everything is over. So the issue of information is one of the components. We have also promised that we need to rework and see how we can package it properly. How can we have strategies with the support of some technical tools from ITC, RDB, and others to see how do we share this information to business women so that they can use it at the right moment to access this business and market. Another thing is the capacity. How do we as government support these women? Because they are saying that they lack capacities in all this value chain, I would say. You know, since, from the products itself up to the market level. So how do we come up with the capacity programs which are more comprehensive to support these women entrepreneurs? And I think this is what ITC, RDB in Rwanda and other partners, we want to again look at it. What have we been doing better, and how can we improve to make sure that we empower these women and we give them capacities to make sure that they do their business properly. So there are issues around procedures. They have challenges around how knowing exactly these procedures and making sure that they know the requirement to each step up to the market when they do market. So these are among the challenges they have mentioned, and as governments and our partners, we are ready to continue working together and, more importantly, talk to them, talk to women entrepreneurs, listen to them, understand their challenges, and of course, this helps us to improve our policies and our programs so as to support these women entrepreneurs. As for the payment, maybe she's going also to talk about it, but I wanted to say that in Rwanda, we have now a program to make sure that not only women, but also men, all business people, government, if they have any, they have done anything with the government should make sure that they pay them and pay them on time. Because if you are promoting the private sector, you need to make sure that now on your side, you are not the one now who is, not paying on the right time so that they can do business. And this is what I just want to contribute.
I'll respond to the first question on procurement. You asked how are we going to improve on it? How are we going to raise the percentage? Was that the question?
Actually, I needed to know what level are you looking at? What level are you looking at from the 1% that is currently there? Are we looking at 10%?
Well, we would like to raise it up to 10%, but if you're looking at that, you really have to look at a woman right from girl, as a girl child or as a youth. How do you do that? For example, in Uganda. In Uganda, we introduced, before, when girls were not going to school because sometimes their parents were discriminating them. So we looked at free education, that is one of them, primary and secondary, so that the girl can be brought on board. And this has increased the education of the girl child, of the woman. So what are you doing? You're building up this woman to be able to understand the policies, to be able to fit into the entrepreneurial world. So as he's growing up, he goes up to university, we offer 1.5% points so that that girl is able to go into university. And as you're continuing, this person is able to join the entrepreneurial world. So what do you have in place? We have introduced a procurement, a PPDA, Procurement Act. And what does it involve? We have 15% to 30% preference for a woman or for a Ugandan in services and products. So that when government is procuring, it looks at the local products, it looks at the local services. If it is legal services, they look at the legal. If it is products, they look at the local ones. And on top of that, we introduced a policy buy Ugandan, build Ugandan. What happens? You give incentives to the Ugandan woman or a Ugandan who's offering products or who's offering services. And what else? We have introduced a desk in standards, because you realize for one to be competitive, you must have standards. If you don't have standards, you're not being competitive. So in the National Bureau of Standards, there is a desk for micro, small, and medium enterprises. And we look at the SMEs, especially on gender-based inclination. We look at SMEs, those who have products, we test them and we certify them. That is when we. But now the contention is, what about the rural woman? The rural woman who wants to join the competitive market. That is where the challenge is. These micro, small, and there are courses that go, entrepreneurship courses that go right down to the grassroots, but that has been a challenge. That is why we encourage cooperatives, and in those cooperatives, you'd find the rural woman working with an entrepreneur who is already exposed, and in so doing, she'll be able to benefit, because she's the one in agriculture, she's the one who grows that coffee. So she will benefit from the information and knowledge of the other woman whom she's joined to form a cooperative. Women engage in cross-border trade. Cross-border trade, that is where they make their money from mainly. So we have adopted a strategy to encourage them to be competitive, even in the local procurement, so that when they make money across the border, they are able to compete. But we offer conditions that favor them at the border. We simplify the documentation. We make sure that their goods are handled in a more friendly manner, instead of before they used to smuggle them because they were not sure that they knew their rights.
Land has been a problem in many of our countries, but I'm happy to say that in Rwanda, practically now, apart from having gender equality policies on land and laws on land, but again, when we were doing land registration, today we count more than 26% of the landowners, the head of households, are women, 18% are men, and 54% are both men and women, the family. So this is very important to make sure that women have, for sustainability, women have this confidence. Women can negotiate at the family level. Women can use this land for collateral. Women can be able to go to RDB with their husbands and say that we want to put a company in place. So we have now girls coming up, putting the companies in place because they have education, they are able to manage their companies. Connecting them to the market is another area we are putting a lot of efforts in Rwanda, making sure that we know where are the markets through the RDB and other partners. So we connect these women with markets so that whatever they are doing, they know where to get these markets. Affirmative action. I think when we were discussing about procurement, people came up with many questions. Do you want to give these women, portion of procurement free of charge or what? No. But when we talk about affirmative action in gender equality and women empowerment, we are very strategic, not like giving them things for free, but how do you come up with mechanisms which you go into details of the procurement and see where the gaps, what are the challenges, depending on the history of what these women have been going through, because they were not on entrepreneurship before. This was not their area, this was not their world. It was the world for men. So if you're talking about gender equality, you need to look on how you uplift the left part of the society. So you need to come up with strategic programs to make sure that you uplift them. Then when they are at on the same level with their partners, then they can compete. So this does not mean that you are discouraging men or you are just giving these women extra support, but you are trying to make sure that they get these opportunities. So what I would say, we need to have sustainability, and sustainability comes through also gender mainstreaming. If we talk about gender mainstream, for example, in Rwanda, we are talking about economic growth of 11.5%. But what is the contribution of these women? We know we have more than 86% of our women in agriculture. So what indicators do you have in agriculture linking it to the value chain, to the business, up to the market, and to the promotion of economic sector by empowering these women? When we are talking about handicrafts, when we are talking about other types of service at the service sector. So what kind of indicators? So what we have done in Rwanda is to make sure that we work with these particular EDPRS sectors to make sure that in their sectors they have indicators which these indicators are going to be translated into the programs, and having these programs in place, then you are sure that at the end of 5 years, now you can measure, as Edie was saying, you can measure that this is where we started from and this is where we are. And every year, by the way, we evaluate where we are in the implementation of 5 years plan, and that is where we look on the gender indicators and try to advocate in these sectors that this we are doing right, but this we still have a challenge. How can we come together and make sure that we have programs to empower these women so that we reach the economic growth we are targeting after 5 years?
Thank you, Minister. You guys love quotes, so I'm going to give you the quote that I quoted at the roundtable. It's not my quote, it's Sheryl Sandberg, COO of Facebook. It's very simple. What you don't know, you don't care. But once you know, you cannot but care. And this is what this is all about. We need to know in order to be able to care. We need to monitor, we need to track in order to be able to care.
Here in Rwanda, where are you coming from, and what is the government doing to transform the situation for women-owned businesses? Thank you.
Thank you so much, Julie, and it's nice to have you in Rwanda. And thank you, my dear colleagues, sisters. I think this is a very interesting topic, because when we talk about economic empowerment, talk about women, it's like you're talking about twins, because there's no way we'll be talking about economies of our countries without talking how much our women are contributing. For Rwanda, I would say that one of the factors which we are seeing as a base on what we are talking today, on the success, is one, the legal and policy framework. Because you cannot have all these success without enabling environment which can contribute to all the support to these women to contribute to the economy. So in these 20 years, Rwanda has been struggling very much, made sure that there is a conducive environment for these women to come up and take over. Because we have more than 52% of our population are women. So what do you say if you have this percentage? I think in East Africa now we have around 60% are women. So you cannot ignore this part of the community. So we have come up with initiatives to make sure that women, not only in decision-making positions, but we are seeing them in economic sector. And that is where we will see the impact to their families, in education, in health, in nutrition, and at the family level.
Thank you. I want you to give us some of the initiatives that have been most effective, some specifics, please.
Yeah, one of the initiatives I will say is empowering these women by giving them capacities. We have the Women Chamber, a private sector and Women Chamber of Entrepreneurs, and we have been giving them capacities to make sure that they come up and work towards business entrepreneurship. And today, our enterprises constitute more than 42% are women head in these entrepreneurs. We also have come up with what we call savings and credit schemes, whereby today 46% of our savings and credit schemes at the grassroots level is owned by women. So this is helping our women to access credit and then contribute to the SMEs. More than 46% of our SMEs are women owned in these enterprises.
Thank you so much, Madam Minister. We move now for the Indian context. And so let me ask you this question, Archana. Why buy from women businesses? What is important about this whole issue? And what is happening in India, both at government level, but also NGO level, and you had one? What are people doing that is working?
Why buy from women-owned enterprises? I say why not? Because women are a part of society. If you buy from a woman entrepreneur, $10 worth, and if she makes $2 out of it, she's going to spend $1.8 back into her family. She's going to be not only empowering her family, thereby she's going to be empowering the society. So that becomes a social angle that we talk about. But as women, believe me, I'm a woman entrepreneur, and as you said, 35 years I have been. I started from a time when I was thrown out by the bankers. They used to say, what do you know about business? Forget women entrepreneurs, the word entrepreneurship was little known. And I don't blame the bankers, because I didn't know the ABC of business either. No A of accounting, no B of business, no C of costing, but the will to do business was there. Okay? So what happens is, but buy from women-owned enterprises, because believe me, as of date, our quality is good. The products are innovative. The services are good. And above all, the transparency and honesty that a product or an enterprise owned by a woman is going to offer you, nobody else is going to offer you. The kind of commitment she has to her business. Because, I don't know about other countries, but in India, believe me, it is. At a micro or small level, if a woman fails once in business, she's forbidden to take the risk another time. She has to make it then. And we have to understand, as a private sector, if I would like to address, then why not buy from women-owned enterprises? If the products are good, the services are good, the costs are competitive. So give her that last edge of benefit of when you have a choice between two, to encourage that. And coming back to the government policies, yes, I would like to state that in India, we do have, you were talking about a 30% reservation about procurement from women and youth. We have, under our ministry, we have a dedicated ministry for the micro, small and medium enterprises. Because in India also, it's 55% the MSMEs, 40% of our exports is through MSMEs. We contribute a hell of a lot to our GDPs, so they are a very important sector. So public procurement, which is a very, very important aspect of the total business scenario, 20% of public procurement has to be made from MSMEs. We are trying to get a niche for women, a quota there. And I'll say that ITC has been innovative.
Do you know what the uptake is? Because it's interesting.
Yes, I would like to answer that question of yours. Yes. Julie, I wanted to address that thing of yours. Whenever, because I am on quite a few policy making bodies, and maybe the bureaucracy hates me for it, I say, if you're allocating so many $1 million to a policy, please allocate 25% of that same for advertising that scheme. People do not know that there are schemes and incentives available in our country. We don't know them. So let's advertise that. And secondly, for women-owned enterprises, if I may take a minute, I'd just like to connect and inform audiences that where are you going to find women-owned enterprises? Believe me, there is no data available. The governments don't have data. Women don't know about it. So there's a similar scheme, if you can see, there's We Connect, Women Entrepreneurs Connect. And We Connect, We Connect is a supporting agency to this whole program. So they identify genuine women-owned enterprises and link them to buyers.
That's very interesting. I want to take from what you've said, particularly information is key and research is also important if we're going to transform the situation on the ground. I come to you now, Yashiman. Please share your experience. Why buy from women-owned enterprises, and what is the situation in Turkey, please?
Thank you, Julie. Before I start, can I ask a question to the audience? Most of the people here, the audience, the participants, are buyers in some way or representatives of government or corporations. How many of you are keeping the track of their suppliers, if they are women or men?
One hand.
Great, thank you.
2 hands.
Thank you. I just want to add to this question. In Turkey, we are working to support women entrepreneurship. Of course, we are doing advocacy for the women empowerment socially and economically. And especially we're working with one of I will not tell the name, but with one of a big corporation, and they're focusing on women entrepreneurship and increasing women entrepreneurs nationwide. And just very recently, we wanted them to have, as a corporation, more women suppliers in their supply chain. At that point, after 8 years, they looked at their statistics and found out that only 8.9% of their total procurement was from women suppliers. So this was just an addition to my question. I want to add to what Arjanda said, as why buy from women. We should also look at it as buying from women suppliers, of course. Besides being a gender issue and social development, it's a big economic issue. The population globally is increasing now. We need new jobs. According to the Global Entrepreneurship Monitor report, it is a report published every year by the Babson College. Every year there are like 126 million new female entrepreneurs getting into business. And I think around right now, globally, around 98 million women they own their business. So each of them at least employ themselves, or they have employment for their co-founders. And around 50 million of these women employ one employee at least other than themselves. And according to the World Economic Forum and all the new other reports, in the coming 5 years, there will be around 15 million more female entrepreneurs who are willing to employ at least 6 employees. So we have to look at it as a job creation and as a solution of the unemployment as well. To keep these women business owners business is sustainable, the corporations, the private sector and the public sector should be buying from women business owners.
How would you rate Turkey's performance in this area, both in the public and private sector, very briefly?
Currently, private sector is getting more involved in there. They're looking at their statistics about the volume they get from women business owners. The private sector, they're intelligent, smart economics. So they know that they need to empower the women business owners. And as an NGO, we work with the government to have more public procurement policies as well. Either to have municipalities be involved and have quotas for the women business owners. But in general, the statistics in Turkey for women entrepreneurship is not that high. Only 7% of the total entrepreneurs are women.
It's a pattern that we see across the board, and it doesn't matter in many cases whether it's developing countries or developed countries. It seems to afflict all of us. Maggie, I come to you now, and you have experience as an entrepreneur. You have experience in the public sector and in the private sector with Pepsi now as an executive. Tell us, what lessons can we learn, and how can we ensure we're offering women equal opportunities at the very least, and why should we offer them those equal opportunities, please?
Thank you, Julie, and thank you, Rwanda, for hosting us. We are truly privileged. I belong to Pepsi, and I'll speak from that angle. Pepsi believes that because our consumers are so diversified, women play a major role in deciding what should be bought. We believe our companies and our franchises should actually mirror their consumers. So if 50% of the consumers are women, then we should have the same. So we look at hiring women, we look at buying from women. And we do face some challenges, so what needs to be done? There's a lot that needs to be done. Our government has quotas. Unfortunately, private sector, at least that I know about, there are no quotas for us. But we do what makes business sense. Now, to any intelligent corporate, it makes business sense to buy from women. And why? Because women will ensure that the family is stronger, will ensure that communities are stronger, that we move up into a middle-income country. If the money is with the women, it will be spent where it should be spent. Whereas, yes, we love our brothers very much, but sometimes...
And our husbands and our fathers.
Yes, they do divert the money to maybe less important issues. So if we can empower women, what do we need? Why isn't it happening? I know under the Global Compact, 700 companies have signed on to the UN Global Compact to say they will procure from women. But we face challenges, ladies, and I know many of you are women entrepreneurs. Have you got the confidence to walk into Pepsi and say, I have this? Do you do that? That's what the men do. They wake up in the morning and they're knocking at your door, or they've picked up a phone. So confidence. Do you know your business? What is it? Have you got all the information? Achana says, information says 20%, she talked about Kenya, 30% is open for us. Do you know it? Do you know how to demand it? We need to get into our own associations that speak for us and have a loud voice, but you individually, you have to have a loud voice. So we need to build your capacity. Talked about quality, and that's what you have to bring. There's no company that will, Pepsi sets standards, very, very high standards. So unless you're bringing the sugar that is refined, that actually is that standard, I cannot buy it. As a corporate, they cannot buy substandard products. So standard, absolutely key. Do you know about it? Are you up there? Branding. How do you strengthen yourself though, as a businesswoman? You need to seek information. Information's out there, it's on your iPad actually. It's not very far away. It's on your iPad, look for it. Seek information, build your capacity, networks.
So I am coming very soon to the floor, and I'm cognizant of the fact that we haven't had a male voice yet. So I want to ask the gentleman here, if you do have questions, be ready in a moment. I already see one hand up. I want to go to our Twitter feedback. We're tweeting on hashtag WEDF. And there's a hot conversation that's already been going on Twitter. 101 Ethiopia from Ethiopia says, the effect of women earning on reducing poverty is far higher than men. It is a proven vehicle to increase resilience. He's talking about why to support, why to buy from women-owned enterprises. Somebody else says, Daragwa says, quality is the bottom line of buying habits. As for gender of the seller, that is secondary. Somebody else, Dre Ock, shares his views. He said, I think it's more important to buy from those that sell better quality regardless of their profile, women, men, or youth groups. Koisan Macharia says, buying from women has ripple effects, empowering other women who by default are taking care of children or other community members. Grace T. Ander W., who is I think here in Rwanda, says, smart economics, they put back 90% of revenues to family and business, hence bigger businesses and stronger families. And Dr. Wafula says, it takes hard work to make this work. It takes linkages, information, literacy. Many contributing factors need to be tackled. Remember, competition as well. So very interesting views there. Somebody tweeted earlier and deleted it because I tagged serious issue on it. Somebody tweeted that the reason to buy from women-owned businesses is because you get what you want at the price you want. Isn't that a disturbing statement? I'll come back to you, Archana, in a moment. Give me a moment. At this point, I want to bring in, we are joined by the Vice Governor of the Central Bank of Rwanda, Monique Nsazabaganwa. Monique, what are your views? You've heard what some of the people on Twitter are saying. You've heard our panelists here. It's actually a very complex issue, and sometimes you get incredible male resistance to the idea. We also seem to have systems that are not taking up, the potential that is there, existing in women-owned businesses. What do we need to do? What are your thoughts?
Thank you, Julie. 18.8% of the tenders in Rwanda are granted to women. This is small by any constitutional standards, but frankly speaking, one of the panel members asked how many institutions do actually track the statistics. And I come from a public institution which is a central bank, and frankly speaking, we don't track the numbers and to know how many women are in our list of suppliers. But what we know for a fact is that the women we've managed to work with on different tenders, they were best performers. They promised or committed realistically. They didn't overcommit, take things here, another thing there, and you end up doing nothing on time on quality. So that's also another fact. Another fact, they completed on time and according to expectations. That's a fact. Another one, they gave the assignment their full focus and attention. Actually, they just do like they do with their homes, how they manage their home affairs. So that's a fact. But there is another fact, which is not pleasant. It's that a number of women among the few that managed actually to submit, they are rejected just because of silly reasons, like being rejected because of administrative, they can't even pass the administrative test. This means how your company is registered, have you provided the TIN number, or things like that, those simple things. So that's also another fact. And I think what you have to do is, number one, really to raise awareness and build capacity. That's something you have to do. And this is going to really resolve that issue of uptake. And the second thing you have to do is for those women really to be confident and dare. And this starts by business registration. Claire, can we have our women register, I'll say boldly, on the list of the activities they register to do, you find limited scope of activity, so that they cannot even submit, for instance, for construction or for something that is big. So you find
construction, energy, oil.
Exactly. So maybe they need to dare and be bold when they register their business and put on the list a wider and bigger things. And another thing is to subscribe to newspapers and visit the websites. We have the Digimarket website where all the markets, all the tenders are posted. Maybe that's also something to do. There is also this issue of joint ventures is a method of procurement. This is when you cannot submit on your own because you don't pass that administrative test, but when you come together with someone senior that has been in that business for long, then you submit as a group and you understudy them, and by the time maybe after 2 years you'll be able to fly on your own. So that's something very important. But also there's something that institutions have to do. That's what I see from our end as institutions. I think our procurement teams, actually starting by our procurement policies, we need to focus more on that phase of acquisition planning and market research. You need to know what is around, and you need to know how to describe what you want so that you really create room for what is available there for the women to supply.
So go the extra mile.
And you need to package it so that you exclude unnecessary competition. So you have really to be very focused. I always give an example of procuring bags for a conference. When you say you want conference bags, then any conference bag can do. But when you say, maybe I want a conference bag that is handmade, it's different. So there you know that you're narrowing and you're focusing on things that are going to add value. So that's maybe what I say.
Thank you. And introduce yourself.
Don't worry, I'll be very brief. My name is Alec Muhoho. I'm an attitude change trainer for a company known as Attitude Builders International. First and foremost, I want to admit that I respect women for the contribution they have made for our societies. At the same time, I want to say that there were laws that were against women for many years. But I want to be cautious here when you say, why buy from women-owned enterprise? And that doesn't mean that I'm negative, but I want us to think far.
Please be honest.
I'm brief. So, why we have to be very careful at the end of the day, when I buy from enterprise A, I don't buy from enterprise A because I'm buying from a black man, from a woman, or what. I buy because they provide good services. So, I want us to be I'm not saying that it's bad to buy from women.
You're not being judged.
Okay.
No, don't worry. Thank you, Alex.
I'll go straight to my point. Number one is that I think when we are discussing the topic, we also need to be a bit fair to men. Because since yesterday, it is turning like a fashion show. Women are better than men. You are living a certain classical type of men who are honest, who are very objective, who are very responsible.
Thank you. Can I ask you a question? I know you want to continue, but I want to ask you a brief question.
Please go ahead.
Do you think that women-owned businesses do need greater uptake in terms of the opportunities that they have out there? Yes or no?
Sure, yes.
Okay, thank you. Continue now. Thank you.
The second point I want to make is related to the topic. Why buy from women-owned enterprises? comes to mind is what are the products or services you're talking about? Because women tend to cling on to a certain type of services or products that they are more interested in. An example is fashion.
No, that's sexist. But in my opinion, that is sexist. But I will let some of the business owners here maybe respond. Actually, in Africa today, come in, Archana, come in. Okay.
Can I make one?
I need to respond to a point.
I'm going to stop you, but your point is noted.
See, I want to respond to the point of Twitter because it will be lost.
This was pricing.
Yes, pricing. That women will supply at any price. I'm sorry, I disagree. And to just do that, I'll just give you a small example. That we are all desperate for business. I'm into manufacture of green cleaning chemicals. In Bangalore, there is a customer of mine who was huge. And when he approached me, I was like, oh my God, he's approaching me. But when, I'm being very brief, when it came down to the procurement, we realized that they're asking us impossible prices. Impossible. So I said, no, we can't do that. And I was opting out of that contract. But the CEO called me up and said, Archana, you have your company as an entry point. Take this entry and we will talk about it later. Believe me, we took the entry, we proved our products, we proved the services, we proved everything that was there. But even 1.5, 2 years down the line, we were not getting the price increase. So, yes, I opted out.
Thank you. So we need to make the difficult decisions, and sometimes it takes saying...
It takes everything. So take the decision.
Oda, please.
Thank you. I want also to add on that, because it's not about what these women are interested in, producing. Sometimes it's about the challenges, about what they have been experiencing. Because in all these years, men have been getting opportunities, have been getting capacities, but we need to be frank to ourselves and know that it's the right time now to raise and support these women so that they're on this level. So I think my brother will agree with me that we need to buy from these women so that they get experience, they get exposure, they be able to come out and also do what men are doing.
Absolutely critical. Another factor, in Kenya previously, certain areas were kept for women, to encourage women to, so it was stationery and flowers, and the uptake was not high because a lot of women went to that business and they were asking, why are you forcing me to go into stationery? Yashin, please.
Can I add two things to this point? Women are, yes, they're more in the service sector or womanly businesses, let me say, but their role models are mostly in the services sector. So we need to change the role models and have more role models from the industry manufacturing as role models for the others. Another point I wish to add here is it is again another problem that the women are facing globally, which is the bank collaterals. So in order to have more productive and in the manufacturing, they need to make investments in machinery. But 1% of the land property is owned by women, so they don't have enough collaterals to get the bank loans to make big investments. So they get small loans, open offices, so they can work in the service sector as a woman business owned.
Thank you.
My name is Borja Macias. I'm from Brazil, and I only good words for the organizations Hospitality from Rwanda and the potential business of the ITC event. I hope come back with new partners, and that's it. It was wonderful. Thank you.
My name is Olebrem Puti from Kumo Group in South Africa. My highlight for this event is meeting different people from different countries and hopefully bridging the gap of intercontinental trade.
My name is Kara Hook. I am from the United States. I'm currently working in Tanzania, a town called Ngara with Women Craft Social Enterprise. For this conference, I think it was really good to give all of the producers insight onto what's happening at the higher levels within government in different countries, and meeting people, understanding what their businesses are and what they're doing. I think it was good to hear about the need for infrastructure, the need for countries to work together. It's nice to know those things are happening and are being discussed at the higher levels.
The highlight at the ITC WEDEF Women Vendors Conference for me, because that's how it came, has been the affiliates, the network I've been able to find for the whole for East Africa. I'm currently based mainly in West Africa, and I was looking to have connections more to be able to open up the market for my interested clients in East Africa, and I think I've been able to achieve that. So that was my highlight for today.
In this conference, the good thing was that we are looking globally on trade, on business, and all those challenges and what can be done to all men and women. Because again, if we talk about women, in Rwanda we believe that it should come men and women, because it is about the family, and it is about citizens by the constitution of that country and about the rights of these citizens. So women vendors, for example, before they become entrepreneurs, what is those conditions? What is the government doing to make sure that there is a enabling environment which will help at the end of the day, after 5 years, to have these women entrepreneurs we are talking about? And that is when we will be able to discuss, do we need affirmative action in procurement? Because now you'll be having a good number of these women entrepreneurs. So for us, we think that the question first is to to check ourselves, the accountability from the government, how much mechanisms or policies or strategy you have been putting in place to make sure that whatever you're talking about, if it is about gender equality, for example, in Rwanda, this has been a choice. This has been a decision that gender equality and women empowerment should be a pillar for our sustainable development. So what we have put in place is, one, having right policies. So these policies which will look, if we talk about gender equality, means you do analysis, you try and see in your community who is lagging behind. So as you make sure that your community, you are taking the community as you go in development, men and women, girls and boys, and that is where you're going to see policies on education, trying to look uplifting girls, make sure that they go to science and technology, they go to school, primary, they have primary and secondary and even higher learning institution for sustainability. Because at the end of the day, I'm imagining the CEO of a company should be educated. The CEO of the enterprise you want to promote for these women, you should have the quality women, the women who can be able to negotiate, the women who can be able to access this market, the women whom you are going to give these opportunities and be able to take it. So these policies should look on areas focusing on what you want in the future to promote these women. So maybe I cannot list all the policies, but mainly our gender policy looks on all those gaps, looks on education, health, trade, and try to see what are those indicators. And after analyzing these indicators, we use it in our plans, especially in our Vision 2020, because we have Rwanda a Vision 2020, which is inclusive of men and women, and gender is a cross-cutting, meaning that all sectors should make sure that they account for it. But more importantly, in our midterm plan, the EDPRS. In our EDPRS, because it is a 5-year plan, so it has clear targets, it has clear indicators, and how are we mainstreaming now gender in these targets? I'm not avoiding your question, but I'm trying to show you that, for example, if we're talking about Ministry of Commerce, what are those gender indicators in trade? So after analyzing with this sector, after looking into the gaps, if it is the issue of capacity, so what is the statistics? So we work with the National Institute of Statistics through our Ministry of Finance and Planning and come up with the clear indicators in trade. We come up with the clear indicators in, for example, in export. So see how many women do we have, what are those challenges, and after having those indicators, then we integrate it in our EDPRS, and when they go to implement, then we will be coming to evaluate our gender policy, trying to see, have you done what you're supposed to be doing? Now, on procurement. On procurement, as to me, I'm taking it now as something which will show that all the policies we have been talking in trade, all the policies, all the indicators we have been putting in place, are we really getting these women to compete, to bid? How many contracts do we have? So this connection is what I think can be looked at to make sure that from the grassroots level, from the government and the policies, the women themselves, now when it comes to the procurement, you have these women ready to take this contract.